Okay. Hi, Carly.
Hi.
Awesome. Okay, so this is the very first episode ever of Coffee with Carly. And the amazing thing is that there are two Carlys. Because this lady over here is also Carly. And Carly and I met in Austin, and actually she's one of the people that I give credit to for Ross, my soon-to-be husband, and I meeting. And Carly and I met through B School, which is an online business school. She was living in Austin, but now she's living in Southern California. And we were going to B School at the same time together, and we were going to IIN. It's a school, the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, to become health coaches at the same time. So she's also very, very involved in the Tony Robbins world of personal growth and personal development. And she's really just a wealth of knowledge and a dear friend and beautiful and amazing all around. So I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for that nice introduction.
Yeah. So this is called Coffee with Carly. So the very first thing that I want to do in each one of these episodes is check in and see what you're drinking. And ironically enough, I have to call myself out because it's 5 p.m. here. So I'm not drinking coffee, and I probably think you're not either. And I also think that this is your mug.
It is. I love that.
So after Ross and I traveled, when we lived in Costa Rica for a few months last year, we came back and we lived with Carly. And then when she moved to California, we got a lot of her goodies, and this mug is one of them.
Yay.
So what are you drinking?
So I'm drinking traditional medicinals tea. They're a throat coat flavor, and I put in my raw organic honey and some fresh lemon, and it's still cooling down. I haven't actually had a sip yet, but it's a very nice warmer because I already had my coffee earlier today, and I can't do any more at the moment.
So I was going to ask you if you are doing coffee, because it goes on and off.
Yeah, it does go on and off. Today I actually had my first coffee drink in about a month because I've been having some skin inflammation, and I finally healed to a point where I felt safe enough having just a little bit. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I indulged, and I had a cortado, and it was yummy.
What is that?
Cortado is it's espresso with a little bit of milk, so less milk than a cappuccino. What's in between an espresso shot and a cappuccino regarding the espresso to milk ratio.
I learned something about coffee on my very first Coffee with Carly. Carly's. Nice.
Yeah.
So I'm drinking Dandy Blend. What would Buddha do? A very good question for all of us as we go through our day. And Dandy Blend is actually a drink that I recommend in my program, 12 Days to Sexy, because it's a really good coffee alternative. It's made out of, you drink Dandy Blend, don't you? Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's made out of dandelion root, which is also a liver detoxifier. So it has that same dark, robust, and kind of bitter flavor of coffee, but it doesn't have caffeine, and it's supportive for the body. So if I'm going to have a warm drink in the afternoon, sometimes I'll do like a Dandy Blend latte with some coconut oil, some almonds, some cashew milk, blend it all up. And then in the morning, I'm a fan of butter coffee.
Yeah. Yum.
Are you on the butter coffee train?
I do. Yeah, I really like the butter coffee. Although for my skin, I can't have as much butter and dairy as I really want.
Yeah.
You're good
with what your body needs.
Yes, listening to my body.
So Coffee with Carly kind of came about from, have you ever seen Comedians in Cars with Coffee? That's what it's called.
I personally haven't. I know you were telling me about it.
Yeah.
There's something.
Yeah, so Comedians in Cars with Coffee, Ross, my fiance, actually introduced me to it. And it's Jerry Seinfeld's show, and he just gets together with comedians and they drink coffee and they talk. And I'm like, It's so brilliant because there's nothing actually happening, and at the same time, everything's happening. And I have all these really amazing conversations. Like you and I can hop on the phone and have an hour conversation and like cover the spectrum of conversations and topics and insights. And I'm always like, damn it, we should have been recording that call.
Oh my God, that happens so often.
Right? And so there are so many amazing women that I get to speak with all across the spectrum, across wellness, nutrition, strength training, herbalists, yoga teachers, eating psychology coaches. There are so many women that are part of this wellness world that we're in. And I figured, why not break down the barriers? I'm like behind a computer all day. So meet face to face, record our conversations, and share it with the world.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
So here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying, here we are, kicking it off.
Yeah.
And you said how I just wanted to say it's quite a cool metaphor for life, how you said nothing's happening yet. Everything is happening in these conversations. And I feel like that's how life is a lot of the time.
Yeah.
A lot of the time nothing's happening, but it's all happening at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, okay. So Carly, you're a certified yoga teacher. You are a holistic health coach, and you're deeply trained in regards to, I don't know, the philosophy of Tony Robbins and personal growth and personal development. And you've had a really cool and interesting and also hard and beautiful and like all of us story in regards to how you came to where you are today. So granted that we only have maybe 30 minutes and we're staying within a time frame, but can you just share a little bit about yourself, about how maybe your food journey, your wellness journey, like why you are where you are in your life right now?
Yeah. It's interesting to think about like where it all really started. This, I almost want to call it an awakened life, like conscious living. The thing that kind of prompted me to start questioning things and figure out why I was feeling the way I was feeling was because in high school, I started like feeling my jaw clicking a little bit, and I had these headaches that I couldn't figure out. I couldn't pinpoint why I had them, but it was chronic headache and not quite so debilitating, but it was just, they lasted forever and wouldn't go away. And the stress of like not being able to get rid of it really made me, I went to multiple doctors. I went and got an MRI on my brain thinking I might have had a brain tumor. I went to go to the eye doctor to see if maybe my vision was off. And it turns out it ended up being TMJ, which essentially was caused by stress. And I am a junior in high school, and I'm so stressed out that I'm having these physiological responses in my body that are already interfering with my life. So that was the biggest, or the first thing that started awakening me to health and like really having to pay attention to my body. And then came in my skin issues. I have just some, again, it's not anything hugely interfering, but it's enough to shake me. I would have eczema, and my rashes flared up the week I broke up with my boyfriend 4 years ago. So it was very clear to me it's stress related. But it wasn't going away. And so I went down the yoga path. I went to IIN and learned about food. And so I started coming at it from all different angles: personal development, spirituality, on a physiological level with food and yoga. And through a combination of everything, I finally have a handle on it. And ultimately it's stress. Like we have to figure out this thing called stress and how to we can't avoid it because it's a part of life, right? There's positive and negative stress, but how to more healthfully interact with it and use it as a tool instead of being used and abused by it. I just learned even more. I just got off the phone with my doctor, and like, despite my symptoms flaring up again, like I'm still on the right path, and like my body is continuing to heal. And it's really cool. It's been a journey. There's parts that I've hated and like felt cursed. Like, why am I ridden with this problem and I'm having to deal with this? I'm supposed to be a healthy 20-something and just enjoying a vibrant life. But on the other hand, I know that it's actually a big gift, because without it, I wouldn't be where I am today, and I wouldn't have learned probably a lot of the things that I know now if it weren't for this quote unquote problem. So for that, I'm grateful. It keeps me in check, and I'm learning more every day that my body is here to guide me through life versus like be this thing to be trapped in and hold me back.
Yeah.
It's pulling me forward so long as I listen, because that's a big part of it.
Yeah, just this morning I was teaching, and I'm talking about the innate wisdom of the body, that our body has the answers. Our body is here to serve us and to support us, but our lives move so fast, and we're stressed and we're heady that we're often disconnected, right? Like we're disconnected from here. We have one life going up here, but then our physical vessel is sending us messages all day, every day. And it's the body brain connection, like body, mind, spirit. That's the melding of all of them to be able to hear the messages that are being sent to us all day, every day.
Yeah. And like so often, we get stuck in our head, and like talking about Tony Robbins, he talks about you're in your head and you're dead. Like if you get stuck up in there, it's not a pretty life, because it's really hard to slow down and listen and take action on the messages that we receive from the body,
Yeah. But okay. So I feel this way. You feel this way. We're coaches. We live in the world of wellness. And I'm sure so many other people who are watching this feel this way too. Like this stress and the ability to feel disconnected from the body because there's so much energy and things spiraling in the brain. Mm-hmm. So what are some things that you have done? Like this has been a long journey for you. I know that. So what are some maybe even like daily practices that you do in order to integrate the brain and the body, or to move out of the monkey mind that we often say in yoga?
Yeah, the monkey mind. So when I notice that my head is totally in control and spinning out, and I call it spinning out, like I'm about to spin out and have a freaky stress cycle or whatever. When I am able to have that awareness that that's happening, I know that I'm all good, because awareness is the first step. You have to, if you don't know what's happening, you're still at the mercy of it, right? So you first have to become aware. And then what I do is I do some grounding techniques, to just ground myself into the present moment, ground myself into my body. So if I'm sitting as I am now, I would bring my attention to where my body is touching the chair and where my body's touching the floor. So I would feel the bottom of my feet touching the ground, maybe wiggle my toes a little bit to really become aware of that, feel my seat in the chair. Other grounding techniques that work are feeling the air, the temperature of the air on your skin. Just like feeling what that feels like. When's the last time you consciously brought your awareness to what does the air feel like on my skin right now? Mm-hmm. And then also,
so that's like in the moment, right?
In the moment. You can do this while you're talking to someone in conversation. Say like you're talking to me right now and your thoughts are going off and you're like, oh shit, I got to come back to now. Let me feel my feet on the ground and come back here. Oh, I'm back with you. It happens in an instant. It doesn't need to be a big, long, drawn out thing.
Right.
But I found those really help. And I'm a visual person, so there's a spatial tool that works. Like you sit back and you just notice the space in between objects, like the empty space between objects, and see how that empty space is actually connecting everything. That space permeates everything. Like we are all connected through that space, which I find really, really cool. It really throws me, I call it taking me back off the front line, because when I'm on the front line, when the head is spinning, I do these grounding practices to take me back off the front line into beingness, where I'm able to make more clear decisions and actions.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so noticing the space, taking yourself off the front line, noticing the space between things, and then noticing sensations of the body. So maybe the temperature on your skin, or if you're sitting, feeling your feet grounded on the earth, like come to the subtle sensations of the body.
Yeah.
So arrive back into the physical vessel.
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, to come back. Also, another spatial one to use is with auditory sound. You listen to the silence in between any sounds you hear. So your focus is on the silence. Even if there's a lot happening, there's always still silence in between sounds. And that's another way to
I
come
don't
up
feel
with.
that way.
Yeah, it might take a little bit. That one might take a little bit longer. Well, and it helps to know too if you're audio, visual, or kinesthetic. You know, depending on which way you take in information, the
Yeah,
tools will be more beneficial depending on what your strong point is, so to say.
exact. So how do you know which one you are?
I don't know. That's a
Yeah.
good question.
I guess it's like how you absorb
Yeah,
information.
like if how you learn, like I know for me, like I have a photographic memory, so I'm a very visual person. Like if I see a page and something and I need to recall from that page, I like visualize where it is. So I know it's easier for me to retain information visually versus if I hear it on an audio book.
Yeah, so that's a really good point. How do you learn? Do you need
How
to
do you
listen to
learn?
something? Do you have to see it? Do you have to do it?
Experience it. Yeah, are you
I
hands
have to do it.
be more so you're probably more kinesthetic, where the bodily grounding things coming to your sensations would probably be more effective than the visual space or the auditory silence.
Oh, and so depending on which one you are, then you can tap into that for the grounding practices. So if I know that I'm kinesthetic, then I can touch something grounding, or I can go pet my dog or give someone a hug. Right?
Yeah.
I need those up, but
Well, no, I mean, it all works. Anything that will help you become more embodied in the moment, right? Will absolutely get you out of your head. Another thing
yeah.
too worth noticing, and I think it's pretty universal, or worth noting, is there's a tool called Noticing You Are.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like another thing to help you get out of the mind and like not be taken away by it, is just to like sit back and notice you are. Just notice you're a human being and you're having this experience and you're embodying this body and you have feelings and emotions. Just noticing that you are.
We get so wrapped up in what's happening. Like, oh my gosh, this recipe is not coming together. And it's like step back and notice you are. Like, I am a woman with skin and with hair and I'm breathing.
Right? The miracle of the human body we take so for granted every single day.
Oh
And
my God.
it's really cool. It's almost like magical to me to notice I am, because I'm like, whoa, this is so cool. Like the mystery of life.
Yeah. And and it happens in a moment. You can be in a conversation with someone and just like pull back, even I use the breath a lot. For me, the breath is a really important tool. So even it's like taking a breath into my body, stepping back and being in self, or letting the breath serve as an anchor. Like if I'm getting frenzied, taking the front line,
Yeah.
like breathe.
Yeah.
Watch my breath come in, watch my breath go out.
Yeah.
Just like that. So those are good tools. I like them.
Yeah, they're powerful. They're so simple, but they're so powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I know that you've done so much work in the yoga and the meditation and the spiritual realm. And so how has that been complemented through what you've done with your nutrition and your food? Because your parents are with Sonic, right? It's Sonic? Okay. I couldn't remember that person. And so that's one world. And so you've gone down a different route. And so tell me about that. What is that like? What has that progression been like? I remember you saying you drank the slushies or whatever they are.
Yeah, so I grew up, so my parents are in the Sonic drive-in business. That's family business. That being said,
Who are amazing, incredible, brilliant. I adore them so much. Your parents are incredible.
They are. Yeah, they're amazing. I'm so blessed to have them as my parents. But yeah, that being said, I didn't grow up on fast food or anything. That was just the business. And then we ate relatively healthy at home, but we would go have like afternoon snacks on the way home from school. We'll get a little treat or something from there. So wait, you want me to talk about my spirituality and health and food journey?
They don't really need just what some of your nutrition guidelines that you follow. So you're someone who really puts self-care first and really is invested in your wellness while still living a very modern life and being a woman and having a boyfriend who's an actor in Santa Monica. Like, you're still living you're living your life, but at the same time, you put a really big importance on the food that you eat. So, like, what do you eat and why?
Yeah, cool. Okay. So yeah, what do I eat and why? Right now, I don't really put any labels on what I eat. Like, if you ask me what my diet is, like, I have my diet that works for me and my body. It's dictated by my body, because she's very clear in letting me know what works and what doesn't, through way of skin inflammation. So yeah, and I just find like I'm a vegetarian, it becomes so strict and like so much stigmas around it. Heaven forbid if I wanted to eat a piece of bacon and I'm a vegetarian, like people around me be like, oh my God, but you're vegetarian, you can't eat that. It's not part of your diet. Well, no, I live my life independently and I do what I want.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
right? Like I don't like the idea of labels. But I have gotten better at listening to my body, and I eat what she needs. And right now that's looking like steamed veggies, really simple, not a lot of spices or seasoning, minimal amounts of fruit because the sugar is very aggravating to me right now, and then meat. My body needs meat. I tried to avoid it for years, and I feel better when I eat meat. And I mean, that's basically it. I have treats every now and then. Like I said, I had coffee today. I have some sweet treats here and there, but it's never refined sugars or any of that. It's always with dates or honey or some kind of natural coconut sugar or something like that, but it's always in moderation. You've got to listen to your body, and we're all different. So what works for you might not work for me, even though they're quote unquote healthy foods by society standards. You know, I've eaten a handful of blueberries before and they make my lips swell up really big. So, like, what? You know, blueberries aren't for my body.
Yeah. So when you say that you listen, first of all, I love that you said I listen to her. You know, she's a real living, breathing thing. Your vessel, this amazing body. It's such a gift. It's such a blessing. So you listen to her. You listen to her wisdom. But how do you listen to her, right? Like, that's really easy to be like, I listen to my body, but what does that mean to someone who doesn't understand what it means to listen to their body?
Yeah, that's a good question, because for me, it's in the way of like, I mean, sometimes it's a very subtle, intuitive feeling of like, I'm going to reach for, what is it? Maybe it might be like a really healthy superfood cookie, but right in that moment, that amount of sugar isn't good for me. I go to get it and I have this like little voice that's like, you probably shouldn't have that right now. Like, you don't really need that. If I were to listen, I wouldn't go forward and eat the cookie. I would decide against that and be like, okay, that message is something for me. I need to listen to it. Admittedly, there's been times where I don't listen and I will eat the cookie, even though I feel I like have this, it's almost like a knowingness. You can't logically explain it. But it's just like a knowingness of like, oh, this probably isn't going to work for me, or conversely, or I should eat this. It will nourish my body. It will be good for me. Yeah, I'd say it's that subtle knowingness if you don't have symptoms, but my symptoms are like, for example, the coffee I had today, I had a headache almost instantaneously. So that was my body saying, no more, like, we can't do this right now. So I won't be having any more coffee for a while. That was a treat for me, and we'll leave it as that.
Yeah. And what we were saying earlier is that our bodies are talking to us all the time, but we're not listening. So you could so easily, now you've had many years of this practice, right? So you're able to see my lips got inflamed, and I know it was because I drank coffee, right? But so many people have experiences of indigestion. They have IBS symptoms. They're exhausted. They get a slump at 3 p.m. They are wired when they go to bed and they're exhausted. They have adrenal fatigue. There are so many things happening. And that's not, in my opinion, a opportunity to say, doctor, can I have a pill to cover this up? It's an opportunity to get quiet and to touch in and to say, okay, what's real? Where can I pay attention a little bit closer?
Yeah, exactly. And something that just came to mind while you're saying that is, I think a lot of the things you just listed, like IBS, indigestion, gas, bloating, a lot of that we're conditioned to believe is part of the normal experience of life.
Yeah.
So maybe if you're like sick and tired of being sick and tired, question what your idea of normal is, because maybe there's possibility for you to feel so much better on a regular basis than you think is even possible. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Yeah,
That
like,
what we think is feeling good, we're just so used to feeling that way that there's a level of wellness far beyond that, where there's clarity, where there's light. And I've had people look at me and say, you know, Carly, wow, you have energy and your eyes are bright and your skin's clear. And I'm like, I was 25 pounds overweight. I had cystic acne. I was depressed. I was all of these things. And I was eating white bread every day. And I was eating tons of sugar. And I was binging and purging. And I was not caring for my vessel. And so it's like, this isn't just like, oh, you just happened to come out with clear skin and bright eyes. No, I've worked my ass off for it. I've worked very, very hard and been very intentional and spent years developing a relationship with my body. I used to abuse it. And now it's like I vow and I pray to it and I thank it for carrying me through life. So, I mean, some of the practices we were talking about before, like the grounding practices, those can happen in a moment, right? Mm-hmm. Right in the moment. Yeah. But some of these other practices about intuitive eating and being guided as to what to eat and when, and noticing when there are symptoms, all of that, it takes time and it takes a dedication. But I believe that it's one of the most beautiful journeys that you can go on, because there's this incredible network of women and men who are on a really similar journey and who want to like partner and do things like this and share their truth.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it's worth mentioning in this practice that has happened over a period of years, it's important to be patient with yourself and to have compassion for the times that you slip up and you do what maybe you know you shouldn't and whatever. And instead of beating yourself up for those times, just take it as a learning moment, you know. I've spent too many years being down on myself for having done something quote unquote wrong, but no, it's all part of the journey. We're not perfect. We're human beings. We make mistakes and we learn from them and keep on moving.
And it's a choice. It's a choice how you view everything in your life, right? So it's not from any different from a couple of years ago when your lips were swelling and your skin was inflamed. But now, instead of beating yourself up and getting angry and frustrated, you're viewing it as an opportunity to say, how can I keep going deeper into my wellness? Because there's something there for you. And that's my belief, is that everything is here to teach us something. And again, that's a choice and that's a belief system. And everyone doesn't need to feel that, but I know that that's along the lines of how you view it as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. We have a choice in how we react to anything, or if we even react rather than respond.
So for someone who's watching and is like, yes, totally like resonates with you and here's what you're saying, and is like, okay, what's maybe like, we did some grounding practices right in the beginning of our conversation, but what's like one other, because I'm really into daily practices. I'm really into like takeaways, because I don't know, I'm a New Yorker and I'm a little bit type A. So when I hear these ideas, I always want a way to apply them. Yeah. So for someone who's listening is like, I'm down with all of this, like one thing, and I can think of one myself, but one thing, like first thing in the morning, to set themselves up from a place of like body power and connection, as opposed to not. Do you have any personal practices like that right from the beginning of the day?
Yeah, right from the beginning of the day. So each night before I go to bed, I set out my supplements that I take I take supplements first thing in the morning when I wake up, and I have them set out next to I have an inspirational daily word for the day with a glass of water. So I have all that set up ready to go in my bathroom, which I've created my bathroom to be somewhat like a spa. It's a very like luxurious experience when I'm brushing my teeth, washing my face, any of that. We do it every day, twice a day. So why not make it like really juicy and fun? So even just like walking into my bathroom space is a time to reflect and get centered for the day. I start by drinking my full cup of water. I've learned like water is super important. If I'm not consciously trying to drink enough water, I'm not drinking enough water, because that we need more than we think. So yeah, starting off with hydration and getting my supplements in with a little bit of spirituality, inspiration, all in one little, and it just takes a couple minutes.
Yeah. I know that you have your water set out and you have your supplements set out before you go to bed. So first thing, you wake up and you take them and you set your day with that intention.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that you also put quotes all over your mirror.
I do. I have quotes everywhere, like all across my mirror. I even like colored a little picture with colored pencils the other day. And yeah, I really use that space to remind me and reconnect me to all the things that are important to me, like the values that I want to live by, the qualities and characteristics that I want to be as a person. Because it's easy to get overtaken by the stress, and the more anchors you have that remind you of who you really are at your core and who you're striving to be, the better off you're going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you. You're such a wealth of knowledge around, like, your home is just so intentional. Your home is so intentional. Like, you can see behind her board, and she always has notes there. In every room you go into, there's Post-its and motivational calendars and words. And she just really fosters this environment of growth and looking inward, and truly a testament to it not always being easy. And it can be really crappy and hard and frustrating and sad, but it's the journey of life, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's all part of it. We wouldn't know the greatest joys if we won't know the greatest sorrow. You know, you can't feel the good without the bad. It's a cycle.
That's the truth. So I know that you're not actively, I don't know, you're not actively coaching right now, but I know that you have a blog. Are you still writing on there? Or?
I haven't. It's been a while, but maybe soon. I don't know. I'm in a very transitionary phase right now, figuring out what I want to do next with my life and work and that whole thing. So we never know what can blossom from that.
Cool. Well, when you have...
I really like this.
I know, right? It's brilliant. Connection, community. My word of 2016 is community.
Oh, so important. I need that too. Might adopt that as my word.
Take it on, girl. Carly and Carly got community.
Yeah, we do.
But yeah, okay. I think we'll wrap things up, and thank you so much. It's so good to see your face and to talk about all these things and be able to share it with more people as well.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for having me. This was a joy.
Okay. So episode 1, Coffee with Carly's. That's a wrap.
Peace. Bye.
Bye.